Welcome to Milesh and Sadie Property Talks, the podcast where property investors and developers get practical insight, real deal analysis, and honest conversations about what actually works in today's market. And we'll analyse a real deal in our new feature, The Hot Seat.
In Series 3, the Investor and Developer Playbook, today we're looking at whether the classic strategy of buying the worst house on the best street still stacks up. We'll discuss ceiling prices, renovation accuracy, and in our Room of the Week, I'm going to explain how first impressions dramatically influence buyer perception and value. So let's get into it. So Milesh, what have you got to say about this?
A few things, as
Imagine
always.
if you just went nothing.
Ceiling price reality.
Oh, sounds serious. Talk to me more about that.
So be realistic with your ceiling price next.
Yes.
No, I think there is such a thing as a ceiling price, I believe. I think you can only go so far when it comes to what that top level price is going to be. So spec becomes more important. Head over heart, again, is a factor that you have to keep in check. I think it can range. There's so much involved with it in terms of, the hierarchy of the street as well. I mean, you might have one road which has got masonettes, apartments, mid-terrace houses, terrace houses, semis, detached, the full shebang.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be realistic for you to think you can get a top-end detached value if you're in a mid-terrace property.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say that the variety on the street really plays in here, because if you have a street that is all the same terrace house, then that ceiling price is the ceiling price.
Exactly.
And don't think, we've made this look so beautiful, so we're going to smash that ceiling price. You might, but don't assume. Don't bank on it 100%. But if you're in a street where there's lots of different types of properties, like you say, size, maybe age, that ceiling price is a little bit more open.
Yeah, and you could almost chop up that street into those different sections.
Yeah.
I mean, the likelihood of having, someone might come in and correct me, but likelihood of having a bunch of flats with a massive detached house in and amongst them.
Well, actually, I'm going to tell you that on my street, that's exactly what we've got.
Really?
Yeah, because my street is actually quite a good example of this, actually.
Go on.
That we have lots of different types of houses, lots of different ages, lots of different styles. And because of that, on one half of the street, the Edwardian size of the house is quite significant.
Yeah.
And so developers have come along and carved like sort of two of them up into flats. On the other end of the street, they're 1930s properties, and they're kept as whole houses. We ended up bang in the middle as a really ugly 1970s. What that meant we could do was that we could change the external appearance of that house to pretty much anything we wanted, which meant that we could significantly add some value, because the ugly house on the best street, actually that does create an opportunity on the right street, in the right area, to significantly bring up the value of that property.
All right.
Yeah,
Point
so
taken.
thank you. It's not always the way. I agree it's unusual.
Yeah. I was thinking if you've got masonettes where you've got downstairs, upstairs, 2 individual units,
Yeah.
block of 4, and you've got a bunch of those.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to have a 5-bed detached on a massive plot right next door to it, and then more flats going on
Yes.
the other side as well.
Yes.
So I think divvying your street up in that example enables you to work out what that mini kind of street is and what your maximum is going to be. And then you can work out realistically what is good. So just on that, with the interiors hat on,
Yeah.
what is the limit with that in terms of finishes? Like that whole thing of, I know that, the price is $1 million, but I reckon I can get 1.2 million. What would they really need to do over and above to even try and achieve that from an interiors
Well,
point of view?
there's two things on that. Number one, that 1.2, I would only be thinking that's realistic if potentially some of the houses on the surrounding streets were hitting that. If you're literally an island on that, please don't go down that route. Like if every house in the whole area is a ceiling of $1 million, you're not going to hit 1.2. But it is a bit. It's also the value of the property as to how much of a change you're going to make, because the ugly house on the best street scenario, if you are in a street where all the houses are sort of maybe a new build appearance, and maybe yours is a little bit uglier because, I don't know, the windows were cheaper or the door was, not particularly attractive, then there's some small changes that you can do, but you can't do anything significant because all the houses are looking the same. So if you made yours incredible, it doesn't matter because the rest of the street in the nicest way isn't going to look incredible.
Yeah, and that links to over-speccing it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
In that you could try and go all out, but then is it going to look good and nice?
And is anybody going to see the value in paying that? No, because they're going to say, but I'm surrounded by all the other new builds, all the other houses that on this estate that look the same.
Yeah.
So in that situation, it's limited. Look, you can do the small things, and the first appearance of a property is really important. If you are buying potentially a rundown terrace, again, you don't want to spend loads on that first thing, but let's say there's some more cost-effective changes you can make. Front door is number one. I mean, it's still a cost, but even adding some paint to it or whatever, nice planting, some nice hardware on the door, all these things just give it a facelift, if you like.
They do.
Planting around, obviously I'm interior designer, but you should really be looking at your kind of external and some of your some of the planting and how is that space created as you first walk up to the property. And then even things like if you've inherited a really ugly brick, paint it. We don't need to see a bright red, particularly like the 1990s, 1980s look. If you're the only house that's got that, you can paint it a soft white. That's going to give it a really good facelift for not a lot of spend.
Render is another.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, then if you're going up the next tier, I would say you would potentially be looking at render, different types of facades that you could add, whether it's cladding, there's all sorts that are out there, whether you want to add some tile hung. And then at that point, you might be looking at maybe changing windows. Again, if you've got some really, the UPVC windows have come on loads. The ones that first went in the 90s are, pretty basic to what we've now got. If the house warranted it, you might pull those out and replace that with either a great UPVC or an aluminium or something that's just a slimmer frame that looks a lot sleeker. It depends on what that end value can be in the property. And then if you're stepping up even further, then architectural changes can really impact your house. If you can, build out porches, change roof lines, all those sorts of things that can really make a property go from something that is ugly to beautiful. Yeah,
so it boils down to location of the property and to then determine which level you go in at.
Yeah, definitely.
With regards to that change.
Yes, 100%.
But go back to UPVC for a second. You can get companies out there that will come and paint.
Yes, I mean you can paint it.
Respray your.
To be honest, even if you were low end and you were DIYing some of your properties, then you can easily repaint them. There's some amazing paints on the market. Zinza, just giving you a bit of a plug there. But there's a paint that's specifically for this type of window.
Yeah.
And it's so common now. How many houses have that sort of dark frame which look, they look very sleek, very modern compared to the kind of bright white that sometimes is a little bit stark on the front of a property.
Yeah.
So you got to watch it though, because changing colours of windows and doors can be a planning issue if you're depending on where you are.
I was going to say,
yeah.
Well done.
Thank you. I really
keep the garage.
Do not keep the
garage.
Paint
the door if you need to.
God, tell you what.
That's the first thing we did when we bought our house. We were skint.
Yeah.
But just went and got some black garage paint and just it lifted it.
It just lifted
completely.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You don't need to suddenly bringing in something like render. Although it can look amazing, it's costly. So you don't need to automatically go to that, particularly if your ROI is not there, or the rest of the street scene doesn't warrant it.
Yeah.
Then as you walk in, the first thing you enter is that entrance of the house. And
whoa, let's go back. We're still outside. Driveway.
Sorry.
Talk to me about driveway.
Driveway. Yes, if you are lucky enough to have a driveway. Actually, this is a two-parter.
Ooh.
If you can create a driveway, do 100%. If you've got a pretty little front garden, but somehow you've got to go through planning though, have you, for driveways?
No, not if
You've
you're
got to get
just,
a drop-down curb though.
Yeah, that you would do.
So you would have to, but I would say it's definitely, particularly if you're on a busy, like in a busy town, if you can create a parking space, that is a massive tick.
Or just build a garage
Do not build a garage, okay?
for your car.
No, cars don't need garages. Yeah, they can just live outside. Everything's hunky dory. Well, yes. So the driveway, create the driveway. If the driveway's already there, just make it look pretty. That's what I'd say about it.
So like what?
Yeah.
So if you got a concrete driveway,
Oh, I know.
I mean they look great in their day, I'm sure.
They did look great in their day. And I think it really depends on the value of the property, because it might be that concrete driveway might have to stay. If you've not, the thing is, you've got to work out where you're going to spend in this project. And that can be a really costly spend. So it might be that it's going to warrant it far more to spend it, opening up the house or something like that. In which case you're going to do a bit of a kind of fake job on that. You can paint concrete, you've got all sorts of, I know, but I'm just putting it out there. Or you can add some nice planting around it or something to just soften the look of it. As you go up, it's much easier because you can, like even the sort of resin gravel and things like that are very smart. Gravel in itself is quite a good cost-effective thing to add on, though, as long as you're not on a slope. But if you've got a nice flat driveway in, and you can add
you could level it out with some MOT or whatever, and then stick the
and then
finished
stick it on top.
gravel on top.
Yeah.
Tarmac, although that used to be a cheap-ish, better look than concrete.
Yeah.
But I think gravel's not a million miles away now.
No, I agree.
And then obviously you've got the paving and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Which is, you're digging it up and you're really starting from scratch.
And it's the substrate you need as well. That's the problem. It's not like you're just whacking on a bit of, it's whatever's underneath has got to take the weight of that car.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting on the driveway. So now we're inside in the hallway.
Oh, thank you. Now we're moving into my safety zone of actually inside a building. And the hallway is your first impact of that property. And obviously, depending on whether it's like maybe a flat or it's a grand, house, it really varies as to what you can do and the changes you can make. One of the biggest things I would say is if there is a way of getting a connection through to either another room or even to seeing straight through into an outside view, that is a big, big tick, because not only does it create a sense of space, but everybody just that connection to kind of nature and outside is a real warming effect. So we're trying to play on people's emotions at this point, so that it just instantly makes them feel warm and homely and like they want to live there. And that's really easy. We were working on a property, just doing a consultation, and it was quite a narrow hallway, quite dark. And at the end was just a solid white door. And then through there, they had this lovely kitchen with bifolds. And it was sort of instant. All you need to do to really open up, make that connection, was just a lovely glass door with a black frame. You see straight through, the light comes in and it opens the whole thing up. So that's the easiest one, I would say. Second up is flooring and lighting. So make sure that the flooring, do you know what my real pet hate is here, Milesh?
Go on.
Carpet in a hallway.
Carpet in hallways. Oh. Where are you at? Tiles?
Yeah, or an LVT, but please don't. Or even a nice wood, any of those. But if I walk in and see a carpet, my little soul's crushed. It's crushed.
But as you go into different rooms off the hallway,
I don't mind seeing the carpet's fine at that point. But
Blimey.
I just really... Do you know what? There's also something about the fact that carpet is a very heavy material on the floor. So there's no chance of bouncing any light around from that.
True.
It really just heavies up the whole
Sucks
space.
it out.
Yeah, sucks the life out of that room.
Light out of it. There you go.
Yeah. So don't have carpet. That's a big no-no. If you have a staircase, that is really important.
Well, hopefully, if it's 2-story.
Well, yeah, but it might not be a 2-story.
If it is.
If we've come straight into a flat, though, there's no staircase. So if there's a staircase, obviously think about that. And again, how much you spec that is dependent on what level you are at the property. So If it's that it's quite low down, it might be just a terrace. At least make sure you've got a nice stair carpet. You can have some carpet there.
Right, fine.
Things like the banisters, the handrails, the newel posts are all painted to look really attractive. We don't need to just white gloss the hell out of this. We can actually put some personality here. And then that takes you to kind of paint colours and the decor as you come in as well. So I think lots of people think, well, I'm just going to do a bright white paint because I want to make it like light and welcoming. But that can be quite stark.
Clinical, right?
Clinical, exactly. So actually bringing in some colour, or you might decide you're going to have quite a dark, moody entrance if you've got that through line to something that is light and bright and incredible, because the contrast then makes it even more interesting and exciting. And then finally, I would say the other big thing is lighting. And that, again, will really vary as to your spec. So if you're on your kind of, your one bed flats or your terraces, or you're at the kind of, first time buyer stage, then downlights are sort of seen regularly. And if you're not going to change your wiring, then that's fine.
It's a relatively quick win, isn't it?
It's a relatively quick win. What I would say now, though, there are so many battery, not just table lights, but wall lights and things like that even if you aren't first fixing, or you just don't want to be chasing out walls and the cost of that, you can buy some great cost-effective options there. And that just gives you another light source, which just really opens up that room, gives it more dimension. So there's no excuse for just going, well, we've just had some downlights wired, so that's what we're going to do. But as you move up, and depending on the size and scale of the space, you want to start to see lighting coming into the treads of the staircases. You might want to see a really great multi-drop pendant coming down the stairwell. All those sorts of things just, lift it 100%.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Who knew?
Who knew it was so important, but it really is.
Yeah,
One
first
more thing
impression,
as well. If you've got lots of doors, and often you do after off hallways, please think about them. Don't just put in some cheap thing that you've bought from, I don't know, I don't want to slag off a shop, but like even if you've had to be quite cost effective, just painting them a really beautiful colour and adding some nice hardware, just again, it just gives it the lift that's needed.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of door frames and skirtings that match the door colour.
Well, yeah, it depends. Well, this is depending on where you're going, because the big thing at the moment is that everything is the same colour. So you have even like ceilings potentially.
Yeah.
But it depends on the architecture of the building. So I always say my rule with all of my interiors is, if it's something that is maybe Victorian or Georgian or Edwardian, and you've got beautiful architraves and phenomenal skirting, you will paint those a different colour because they're a feature.
And you stand them out.
Yeah, but if you've got an 1980s small skirting and you don't want to change, go around and change all of that, just paint it out. Just literally paint the whole thing the same colour. It's not a beautiful feature to have.
Yeah.
So there we go. I think that's everything. I feel like I've waffled on for hours.
What an insight into a hallway.
There's a lot, and that is just as you just get into the home.
But that's one of the most important parts, right? Because that is what gives you the impression of the rest of the house.
Yeah.
I mean, equally, you don't want a stunning hallway and then you walk into...
No, the kitchen is just an absolute
It's
car
falling
crash.
apart. Yeah.
But I one other thing. God, I've just remembered. I'm on a ball now.
You keep walking.
Storage as well. So do just think about the fact that demographic analysis, if you're trying to sell this to a family, or even you're renting it out to lots of professionals, where are they putting their coats and their shoes and their bags? If you can build it in, do, because it's a major win.
Yeah, 100%. And there is this whole thing at the moment, isn't there, of just stuff not being seen. So just...
I think as cluttered spaces mean cluttered minds, Milesh. And we don't want that, do we?
But it's becoming more and more of the thing.
I agree.
Of a trend, I think.
You don't see so much in houses. It used to be like you get the coat pegs and then like all the shoes just kind of on like
lined up.
Yeah. People don't love
rack.
that so much now.
Yeah. How the world's
Thank
changing.
goodness. I know. Exactly. But it's all those small things that could really impress a buyer, couldn't they? And just be like, oh, they've really thought of everything. They've done a really good job.
Yeah. And the idea is that people walk out with no questions or what ifs.
100%.
That everything's been considered, everything's been taken care of. And a little bit of the staging plays a part there as
Yes.
well, and
how much you
cushions
can
are-
stage your hallway is dependent on the scale of it. You know, if most houses, it's a kind of walk through. There isn't space to be putting a beautiful big round console with a coffee table book. So it's minimal, but where you can add, basically.
Yeah. Storage is key as well.
Storage is everything.
Yeah.
Don't forget. Should we move on to our
Hot
hot
seat.
Yes,
What
Milesh,
we
would you
got?
like to explain what the hot seat is in case?
So the hot seat is a feature within Series 3
Yeah.
where it's the opportunity for you, the viewers and listeners, to ask us a question relating to property. It might be a deal that you are thinking about looking at, or that you are looking at, or that you've even got. You might want to update, or you might want to change strategy or whatever. So what have we got this week?
Without further ado, so here it is. We're thinking of offering 15,000 over asking because we're scared of losing it. The property's been on the market for 3 weeks. Are we negotiating emotionally?
Wow.
Oh, have you ever offered over?
No.
No, me neither. No, I never have. So
No, I've considered it on commercial where I can really see the value of the conversion to resi and all that type of thing. Where the opportunity's there, I have gone in a little bit over asking price.
okay.
But on residential flips or buy-to-lets or whatever, no.
Yeah.
No.
No, I haven't. I have to say I've always gone under. I've never even paid asking. I mean, my immediate thing to that is quite an emotional reaction.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're very emotionally attached to that particular property.
And then you'd be asking why.
Yes.
So if the answer is, I love it, I want to live there, it's perfect for schools and everything else, then yeah, maybe. I think the fact that it's been on there for 3 weeks, do you know what? I think it's down to due diligence.
Yeah.
Like, what more information can you get about this property? Yes,
Yeah.
it's been on for 3 weeks. How many viewings have there been? Have there been any offers? If so, at what level? And you can ask these questions. The agents will choose to tell you or not.
Yeah. I was
But
going to say how much you actually get.
Yeah, but if you can go and ask those questions, then at least you may get something more than you know now,
Yeah.
rather than just going in at 15k over.
Yeah.
If it's an investment, it may be that, like me, you've seen some value in there that others haven't, and the numbers work really, really well, even with you asking over. The situation of the vendor might be different in that they might have to sell. And so they might have priced it in a way that they want to sell it, but actually you've seen and can unlock some value, then it could be worth that 15 grand over. Loads of assumptions on where that asking price is at versus that 15k over. If it's come in under market value, absolutely you would, if you can still see the value in it.
Yeah.
And likewise, if it's something you want to live in and it ticks all your boxes, then think carefully before going in, I'd say.
I would agree 100%. I think the only thing I would think, even if it was a family home, for me, the only time I would potentially is if it was quite street specific. Like, I think when you live in areas, there are sometimes those streets that you are desperately waiting for a house to come up on.
Yeah.
And in those cases, you might.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think a few variables there, but equally, hopefully we've given some food for thought on what you need to consider before you go in.
Yeah.
3 weeks isn't a long time, so I can understand where that pent-up kind of demand might have been created. I think as well, property stat for you, 1 in 3 at least sales will fall through.
Wow, that's high. 1 in 3.
Yeah. So follow-ups are absolutely critical. So 3 of the first 4 deals that I did were through follow-up.
Okay.
And that was just doing the viewing, staying in touch with the agent, even though the sale's going through and it's been taken off the market. You know, that one I offered on a couple of months ago, is it still going through? Is everything okay? I'm still willing to look at it and look at my offer again. And that, just keep doing that. You annoy estate agents. You will do. Like, I used to phone up every other Wednesday morning, 9:30, That was my job. Go through my spreadsheet, phone up all the agents, find out where things are at, and have you got any more? And like I said, 3 of the 4 came for follow-up.
Yeah. Actually,
And these deals do fall out of bed.
they do. And our family house now actually was a fallout. We lost it the first time, and then we wrote a little sweet letter and posted it through the ladies' letterbox saying, you know, we were family and we'd love to live here, and it worked. So
There you go.
you're right. You have to sometimes just keep going with it.
Yeah. I think being consistent with it, being known to the agent is really important. And this is where relationships kick in.
Yeah.
Right. So the relationships you have with local agents from an investment perspective is like gold.
Yeah.
You know, you need to understand who they are, what their interests are, how you get on with them, do what you say you're going to do. So I got some feedback about 6 or 8 months ago from an agent to say, one of the bugbears for us is we get loads of people knocking on the door saying, oh, I'm an investor and I'm looking for this and that and the other. We'll take the time to go out and do viewings with them, and then we hear nothing back.
Oh, interesting.
So
they
that is
just want the feedback of whether they're interested
Exactly.
or not interested.
Yeah. And if not, why not?
Yeah.
This one doesn't work because I think I can't afford to go that high because the numbers work for me at X price. Appreciate it may be embarrassing to go to the vendor on this occasion, but just to let you know, this is where I'm at. Or another opportunity's come up that's better than this one. I'm going to park it for now. Or do you know what? Just doesn't work for me. But that feedback will bring you up a few notches in the agent's eyes.
Oh, that's good to know.
And it sounds really basic and really simple.
Yeah.
But we don't do it.
No. And I think the other thing you do hear quite a lot is people just going, well, I just go on Rightmove. You know, I go on and that's how I find what's on but all I hear is everything that's on Rightmove is
Too late.
too late. Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly in the commercial world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. Covered a lot. So as we've discussed, the worst house on the best street strategy can still work, but only when the numbers, the ceiling price and the renovation plan all line up.
Otherwise, what looks like a classic opportunity can quickly become an overcapitalised project. If you'd like to pose a question to us in the hot seat, please leave a comment below this video or get in touch with us via LinkedIn or Instagram.
Thanks for listening to Milesh and Sadie Property Talks. And if you've enjoyed the conversation, make sure you subscribe and share it with someone else in the property world.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Done. Costume